This is Hot Mic. Hot Mic. On the networks of WDAY. Here's Dom Izzo.
Welcome back, everybody. Hour 2 on a Thursday morning. Ready to rock and roll. Much more emails. We got plenty coming in. We'll get to them all, I promise, before our show wraps up on this Thursday. Mentioned it's a crazy day for Bison sports. Bison soccer team is coming up later today in the Summit League semifinals at 3:30. They win that. They have a chance to play for the NCAA tournament on Sunday. Bison volleyball at 5:30. Bison men's basketball at 7:30. Can ask our next guest if we want to do like a midnight tip-off to really get everything going. The Bison women's basketball team will be back in action on Sunday when they welcome in Eastern Illinois. As Jory Collins joins us, he'll be doing this each and every Thursday throughout the season at 10 o'clock, and he joins us here this morning. You could do that if we want to do like the quadruple header, if you want to play at like 10 o'clock tonight. What do you think?
I don't know that we're ready for that again, Dom. I think there's plenty going on today.
Yeah. Tell me, we visited obviously on Monday before the game. Heck of a game with Drake. You had a couple days to digest. What'd you take away from the performance on Monday?
As we said off the air, I was disappointed in about 3 minutes of play. There's nothing like starting the year off, with a terrific team. We definitely didn't eat into it. And we had new players playing some new roles and new situations. I loved how we competed. I thought we came out, throwing punches. It wasn't always executed right, but I couldn't fault any of our effort or intensity, especially in the first half. And, it just plateaued a little bit in the second half, got killed on the glass in the second half, where in the first half we were pretty dominant there. Foul trouble was an issue. Just not being able to probably play our ideal lineups as much as we wanted. But for the most part, I think there was a lot of encouraging things. And, I'm not into moral victories. We had a chance to beat a really, really good team at home and didn't get it done. But for 37 of 40 minutes, I thought we showed we got a chance to be a good basketball team.
Especially considering the foul issue you had. You mentioned depth. You had to use pretty much every bit of that on Monday afternoon.
Yeah, I mean, we had, and this is no knock on our own guys, but we had, 2 freshmen, 2 sophomores out there, and maybe 1 junior, in a hard stretch in the fourth quarter against, Anna Miller and Kate Dennebeer, who are 2 of the better players in mid-major. And just over the course of time, Dennebeer's experience in some situations and where she could attack the rim in transition or post you up or just you made winning plays because she's a winning player. And, that's what you expect. And it's a great learning experience for our team, for our young players. I mean, we've watched it a lot in the last couple of days. And I think everybody is like, yeah, I can see where I could have done that better. And I think we're going to be a much better team because of that. Would I have loved to have played these guys in the 3rd game of the year or 4th game of the year? Yes. I think we would have had even a better chance, but that's what it is. And it's exciting to play good teams like that because right away you get to learn a lot about yourself.
I'll just say this, and I know you know this. Seeing Anna Miller up close, she's fantastic. I mean, she was not far away from a triple-double on Monday.
Yeah, she's an elite shot blocker. And she has such great timing, but she also has great patience. Like she doesn't leave her feet unnecessarily. Is just so disciplined to stay down. And then she's obviously very long, jumps well. So timing it up, it's having a difference maker in there in that regard defensively. I thought we did a good job going right at her. We got some on her. Knew going in she was going to block some shots because that was going to be our emphasis and just kind of be who we want to be and get that thing established this year. It's hard to practice for 2 months saying, hey, we're going to do this. And then the first game say, hey, but not today. We're going to do something else today. So, we just tried to fight fire with fire and just came up a couple minutes short there.
For Bison fans, Jory, they got their first look at Molly Lenz, and I know she battled foul issues, especially in the second half, but I thought she was awfully impressive. Tell me about your new point guard and what she can bring to the table and what we saw on Monday.
Yeah, I think, the thing that stood out to Molly since she's been here in the summer is just, one, she has a tremendous work ethic. I mean, she is always in the gym. She always wants extra workouts. She asks questions. She wants film. She just has a drive to be great and become a better player. Uh, and I think I don't know if it was you or who I was talking with. It feels like she's been here for a couple years, and she's only been here for a few months. And I think that's how easy she's transitioned into our team. Skill wise, she's just pretty good at everything. I wouldn't tell you that she has one unique skill set that's just outstanding, but she also doesn't really have a weakness where you're like, hey, she's just not going to be able to do this.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to her, continued growth, and not just individually as a player, but just how she can become a leader as a point guard and lead our team. And, there was plenty, I asked her the other day how it went, and she gave me an evaluation that I didn't disagree one thing about. And I was like, well, that's pretty spot on. And if you're a young player and you can self-reflect at a really high level and be honest with yourself and have great perspective, then you're in business on becoming a really good player.
And there's a maturity to that as well, right? That just doesn't happen.
100%. And that's we're like, gosh, we're all excited about it. She hadn't played one, before the other day, hadn't played one game of her sophomore year, and just has that veteran presence about her, which, not a lot of young players have that.
Speaking of your other young players, your two freshmen as well, I thought from Marissa Frost and Claire Stern, both looked the part, both didn't seem like they were overwhelmed by the situation, Jory. Especially Marissa had a couple plays like, wow, that was maybe the best player on the floor at a couple times.
Yeah, and I think she's going to do that every once in a while, Dom, and look like the best guy out there. I can tell you from the start, way back in June, she's not a player that our guys like having to go against in practice. She can make your life miserable if you're handling the ball. And obviously going against, maybe one of the top 2 or 3 point guards we're going to play all year in Kate Dinnebeer,
Yeah.
I thought really stepped up to the challenge, pressured her, made her work. Kate got her on a few, which you knew was going to happen because that's how good she is. But I loved Marissa's competitiveness. There's things she's got to learn. There were situations where she had the ball and we weren't organized offensively. Those are all freshmen, communication things. That's probably the area where she needs to grow the most, is being assertive in what we're doing and getting people organized. But that's always a process as a young point guard. Her physical skills are definitely there. And, as she gets more confident, going to be a really good player for us.
So now you got another game coming up here on Sunday with an Eastern Illinois team who hasn't played yet. They're going to play their first game tomorrow night in Grand Forks. What is now, like, how much are you going full bore to get ready for that? Or are you just pacing yourself to get ready for that game on Sunday?
Oh, we took Tuesday off, Dom, and then yesterday we got after it pretty good. We had a fairly long practice and worked on some things that we didn't like on Monday very much. Got up and down, ran a lot, just like we were playing 2 games in a week a little bit because, today we're just going to do some shooting. So obviously very light day today. And then we got 2 days, to get ready for Eastern. The problem is Eastern has new coach and a lot of new players and haven't played a game yet. So you're really up in the air until they play Friday night. Your specific preparation isn't going to happen until Saturday for their particular team. Obviously, you can do some individual stuff with their players, but not team stuff. And so we'll be focusing on ourselves and tightening things up and working on some things that we know we can get better at.
How did this come about, this game? Is this something you're going back to, or is it a home and home with the Eastern Illinois deal?
Yeah, it is a home and home.
Okay.
I think, gosh, that was an early one last summer, the summer before.
Okay.
This previous one where we just said 2 teams that needed to play.
Yep.
We'll go out there and hopefully, there's enough directional schools in Illinois that hopefully we can find somebody close and get 2 games out of it, 2-game road swing type deal like they are doing UND and us.
Yep.
So just a chance to go play another mid-major team, relatively close. So, easy flight to Chicago, I guess, I'm assuming.
I believe so. If I know where my directionals on that. This is the part of the schedule. We were talking about this on Monday, but you're home. You got another game at home at the end of next week before you start your road gauntlet. How much I guess, building in, okay, we can do some stuff here before practice is pretty much out the door because we're traveling a lot. What are you doing for these 2 weeks?
Yeah, so it's probably good for us with new players and some new roles to have, a game and a little space and a game and a little space. Because now we're getting, it's all live now in
Yeah.
these games. These are the real things are going, and we're seeing how people respond and react to situations and strengths and weaknesses and who can improve and who can adjust. All those things are taken into consideration when you're watching the film and evaluating individually and as a group. So yeah, there's chances for us to tweak and tune things here for a couple weeks before we get into, we're going to have to kind of be who we are for a good, 4 weeks at a time there from mid-November till probably Christmas because we just play so often. So that's a lot of just, hey, who are we playing and what do we have to get ready for as opposed to, some individual stuff.
I know you're watching all the time. Is it are you scoreboard watching now in non-conference at all to see what the other Summit teams are doing, or is it too early for that?
I mean, I'll glance at the score. Quite honestly, I've watched, Vermont played Missouri yesterday. We got Vermont coming up. It's mostly the teams we're getting ready to play is who I'm watching. I'll check the scores and stuff from our league, but unless it's a team we're playing, obviously I'm gonna watch UND close Friday night because they play Eastern, so I'll be dialed into that game Friday night. But not really, not until we get a little bit closer to those guys. We're trying to figure out how many non-con games we can win.
By the way, Vermont won that game. Are they all right? Are they pretty good?
Good. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, they're very well coached, good team. I think last year they played at the slowest pace in the nation. So, not a get up and down, but they're smart. They execute. They can carve you up in a half court game and had a great year last year. And obviously beat an SEC team on their home floor fairly handily actually last night. So, I watched some of that. And I thought they were very impressive.
So does that just make your skin crawl? A slow team that you have to play? Like you don't like that kind of basketball at all?
Yeah, I mean, it's not my preference. I mean, that's why you try to get a versatile roster down.
Right, that's right. Yeah,
it's we can try to push the pace too, and they're going to have to play faster than they're used to, and we're probably going to have to play a little slower than we want to, somewhere in the middle. And you got to be able to play both in the full court and half court, and we think we're kind of built for that. So, I'm hoping that with our versatility of players, we can kind of match up to anybody this year.
Last question here. So getting back to watch the Chiefs on Monday night. So Todd Bowles decides not to go for two. Were you surprised at that at the end of the game Monday night?
Yeah, I thought we lost. I thought they were going to go for two and get it. And when they were going to overtime, I thought we were going to win.
Of course.
I mean, I don't know why, and then everybody was like, I mean, you had a chance to go for two. You also had a chance to get a stop, and you didn't do it.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, well, it's over. They won on a coin flip. No, they didn't. They had to go score a touchdown.
Come on. They got that guy. They're not going to lose.
I know. So why put him in that situation? Go for two.
Go for two and beat that team. That's exactly right.
I thought you always went for two on the road.
That's what I did too. But I mean, football coaches, they're weird. They outsmart themselves all the time. So
agreed.
Great to see you, man. Thanks so much for the time, and we'll see you on Sunday, okay?
Okay, sounds good. Thanks, Dom.
Jory Collins joining us, North Dakota State women's basketball head coach. He'll join us each and every Thursday at 10 o'clock when the schedule provides. They are going to be the Road Warriors after next week. So we'll have the game coming up on Sunday. Don't forget that. North Dakota State hosting Eastern Illinois. Coverage on Sunday begins at 2 o'clock. We'll have the game on WDAY Extra. That's the second home game of the season for the Bison women. Then they're home next Friday, a week from tomorrow, against Jamestown, and then we won't see them again for a bit. They'll be on the road on their way to Alaska, and then South Carolina, and then they're back home for one game in Fargo in early December, and then they head to Washington again, and then Louisiana, and then back to Washington, and then before you know it, it's conference play. So we got these 3 games these first 2 weeks, and then we're really not going to see the Bison women until basically after the first of the year. That's just what is scheduling in mid-major basketball for 2025. We'll break. We come back. We've got some more emails to get to, a couple other topics as well, but we'll chat more about Bison and Mountain West Conference stuff when Hot Mike returns. We're back after this.